This is Tech Tales number 4. Tech Tales is a playlist on my channel where I just talk about service that I've actually performed for real world clients that I bill for my time. I'm not showing you their screens, not showing you their names and information. I'm just telling you the stories. It gives an exposure about the different types of clients that I work for, the different types of work that I might do. And some people seem to like hearing that kind of story. So here I'll continue where I left off last time, and I'm actually reading time slips from 2 weeks ago. This is the week of, excuse me. Okay, I'm back. So the first one, I think I told you the week that I was dealing with here, March 28th through April 3rd. And so that's where I left off partway through that week last time, and going back down to where I continue. Okay, so this again is one of the three government subsidized apartment buildings for senior citizens and disabled people. And what I was doing there is a phone support regarding a bookkeeping computer is unable to open QuickBooks. And through conversations over the phone, I was able to determine the reason for that is that the network cable was disconnected from the computer. And once I told her that, she said, oh, well, we just moved the office around and disconnected everything and then reconnected it. Well, they didn't reconnect everything. So I tried talking her through where the network cable would be. And she found the network cable, but couldn't get to where it was at the wall because there was a hutch in the way. And then there was another piece of something or other that I just decided, it's better for me to just come over. They're 10 minutes away. So that ended that phone call. That was 12 minutes. Then an attorney's office, one of the attorneys I've told about before, I was working on a computer that was being transitioned from one staff member to another. Now in this office, the computers log in with local user accounts that have admin rights for the local computer, but it uses the person's name. So every time they change a person from one desk to another or bring a new person in, I have to do reconfigurations of the user profile from scratch usually. If they're moving from one computer to another, I could use Fab's auto backup, and I would commonly do that. But in this case, it was a new hire. And so I connected remotely to the computer and created the new user account and did the email configuration, the Microsoft Office, put the icons that we want on the taskbar pinned to the taskbar, created her email account in Microsoft 365, created her account on 2 servers, and a variety of other things. This was an hour and 47 minutes in that session. Then here's a time charge for the chiropractor that I've mentioned before. I picked up a new laptop that I need to configure for Kevin, and that's going to be a video that will be coming out. I just checked before I started this session and realized I haven't uploaded that one yet, and it's just doing the basic setup of a new computer was what that video will be. But here I'm just picking up the new laptop and had a discussion with Tracy about her new computer. Some of you have seen the Tracy series, the Tracy playlist, and this was at a point in time where I had decided that let's just get her a new computer. And you'll find out more about the reasonings behind that when those next videos come out for the Tracy computer experiment, or TC computer experiment, I think is what I called them. Anyway, there's a 21-minute charge at that service call. Then back to the government subsidized apartment building. regarding that network cable. Here I'm showing 10:38 in the morning to 11:36. Resolve the network connection failure, and this actually the reason why they reorganized this office is because a new person was being assigned to this office space. And the resolution for that, was it just plugging in that cable? At the moment, I'm not thinking of anything else. So the other thing that I did with cables there is consolidated them because they were a spaghetti mess. And then I discussed with the administrator a new computer for 2 other staff members, the maintenance department and the community center coordinator. So we discussed what we want for computers there. So I received authorization to order those 2 computers. Blimey, it seems like there was something about getting that network connection to work that was unique or different. I'm not remembering what it was. Okay, moving along. Next is a pest control company. 11:49 to 1:01 p.m. It seems like I might have mentioned this in a side note from some other video. Oh, I think when I was cleaning out the interior of Tracy's computer, I think. This office had called me, the pest control company had called me, saying that one of their computers was shutting down, thermal shutdown. They sent me a picture by text showing a message saying that indicating a thermal shutdown event. So I went there expecting that possibly defective fans or possibly clogged ventilation. And that's what it turned out to be. I looked at the side of the computer. It had vent holes on the side of the computer that was visible from the user's chair, if you look. And it was just solid with dust. I could not see inside the case at all. So I just took a Kleenex and wiped it. It just all came off because dust kind of sticks to a Kleenex. And then I disconnected it and took it out into their shop and used my vacuum cleaner to vacuum out the big dust bunnies. And I looked at the fan. It had a CPU fan on top of the heat sink, which has those cooling fins, kind of like Tracy's computer had. And let's see, there was something different about it. But anyway, no, that's not quite right. It had a fan. I had to look down to see the heat sink, but it was totally clogged. It was just a mass of dust. So anyway, I used the vacuum cleaner to vacuum out the big dust bunnies, then used the blower side to blow it out, then used compressed air to really get down into the fins, the cooling fins or radiator fins, whatever you want to call it, of the CPU heat sink, and then put it back into the user's desk and ran a stress test and watched the temperatures, and it looked pretty good. Not terrific, but pretty good. It was going to be fine. They don't put it under nearly as much stress as that stress test did. Oh, by the way, before I took the computer apart, I did that stress test. And when I clicked to begin the stress test, just boom. Thermal shutdown, blue screen. End of the story. Then, let's see, here's an attorney's office. Connected remote in response to an issue when opening a Word document attached to an email. Okay, so what was happening is somebody was sending him an email with a Microsoft Word attachment. He'd double click on the attachment and try to edit and make changes, and that wasn't working for him. Well, you need to save that in another location. It's not a good idea to try to edit and save a document directly from the attachment to an email. Then I also, while I was connected to his computer, performed some email attachment maintenance. He has an older email provider that has limitations on the amount of mail that can be on their mail server. 1 month prior to this, I bumped up his storage allocation to add an additional gigabyte. I think it was gigabyte of space. And he already had eaten that up because he sends and receives huge attachments. So what I did here is I sorted his Microsoft Outlook by size and took all those large attachments and just moved them to a locally stored PST file so that they would no longer exist on the mail server. When I first saw that he was reaching his limit, I had forgotten how recently we had just bumped up bought the extra storage. And I was contemplating buying more storage for him until I realized how recent that was. I said, no, we can't just keep adding another gigabyte of storage every month or two. So anyway, dragging those over, it took a little while to do, but it wasn't bad. So my total charge for both of those tasks that I did was 37 minutes. And that brought his email storage on the mail server down to about 30-40% of capacity. So he's going to last a while. And I have it really clear in my head now. Next time he bumps up against that is I'll just sort them in descending order by size and drag some more over to his large PST file, and maybe I'll train him to do that, although he's not going to want to do that himself. So then a financial services company, and I've made a video about this task. Oh, I know. I think it was in the first Tech Tales where I told about configuring the Unifi bridge setup. Now, that was not under a YouTube arrangement. That was a billable client service. Like all of these in Tech Tales, they are billable client services. But anyway, this was the time charge for that Saturday, and that was 1 hour and 18 minutes. The first part of that attempt of configuring that, I'm not going to go through what we did for that because that's in the first Tech Tales, where I actually did show some pictures of that, of the screenshots of that. Then the next one on that same Saturday is for an attorney, one of the senior partners of the large attorney's office that I've mentioned a few times, for his home. He and his wife are both senior attorneys, and but they have their own firms with partners. Each of them have their own partners. But anyway, so they both work from home sometimes, and they were having trouble with their internet connection from the laptop at home. So I'm on the phone with them and use I think we used some cell phone camera for me to connect to their camera. But the laptop would not connect to their Wi-Fi in the house. I connected to the all-in-one PC that's in an upstairs office space, which is also connected by Wi-Fi, and it was still working. It was still connected to Wi-Fi okay. So I'm figuring the problem was with the laptop. So we pursued some things there and wound up concluding, no, I don't think it is with the laptop. So I asked about the router, about restarting the router, and she said she already did restart the router. And I said, well, let's do it again. Let's leave it unplugged for a couple minutes before you plug it back in. So she did that. But then at some point she told me, well, the lights are still on, meaning she had it unplugged, but the lights are still on. That doesn't sound right. So I said, take a cell phone picture of the back of the device and send it to me by text. So she did that. And what we came to find out is she was disconnecting one of the Ethernet cables that she thought was the power connection. So I talked her through to the correct power connection. We disconnected that for 2 minutes and plugged it back in, and then that restored all the connections. So she and her husband, the two attorneys, they got a little training session there about when you can't connect to the Wi-Fi, try power cycling this device. Now there was a label on it that told that on that device it said, "Do not reset this device under any circumstances." Okay, but that was a reset button to reset to manufacturer specifications. So it was okay to power cycle that. Now we also, in the process of this, I had called their broadband service. It was an unwired broadband service, meaning one of those big dish type satellites. They're out in the country, microwave dish, not satellite, where it points to a tower on a mountain. And they said, well, we can connect to your router. It looks like it's there to us. So I'm figuring that the Wi-Fi side of it just needed to be restarted. And it appeared to me that it was failing to hand out DHCP addresses. The computer upstairs was still live and functioning, but once we tried to restart it, it also could not reconnect. That was 1 hour and 35 minutes. And then on a Saturday, then another Saturday activity here, 20 minutes to order those 2 computers that I was authorized by the government assisted living housing facility. So ordered those. So that finishes out that week. Now I'm kind of thinking the first 2 the first Tech Tales and the second Tech Tales were things from the recent week. And then these last 2 Tech Tales have been from the week prior. I'm thinking I might jump back to like maybe January or pick out some random month last year to get a little more separation, because we're kind of getting a lot of these same offices. And I find that in my business is that some offices I'll get a series of activity with them over a period of weeks. So maybe we get into some different types of service call records. So I think that'll do it for now. What I do on my channel, the intended function is for me to provide free computer support to people where you join me in a Zoom session. I connect to your computer. We do a live YouTube stream so other people can watch the interaction to help you with whatever issues that you have with your computer. And that is what I want to be the most substantial part of my YouTube channel, because I think that will be very effective to help provide training to end users and to technicians. And once my channel grows large enough, it'll actually generate revenue for me. So it's not really going to be free. And when you join me in a session, I'm not really providing it to you for free, right? You're paying for it in the sense of putting your face along with me in a YouTube video and being part of that experience together. So that is how you contribute. So that's it for now. Have a great day. Catch you later. Goodbye.